In this video, we're going to talk about using multiple types in an arithmetic expression. So when you perform arithmetic with variables of the same type, the result of the operation, it's going to retain the same type. In other words, if you have two ints, the result's going to be an int. Or if you have two doubles, the result's going to be two doubles. But what happens when you add an int and a double? Um, what goes on there? And so that's what we're going to talk about now. So it turns out that Java has a mechanism where, with certain types, when you do arithmetic expressions, it's going to convert the type automatically. So that's called automatic type conversion. Okay. And so what you need to do is to know the rules for automatic type conversion. Here, I'm not going to list all of the numeric types, just four of them to kind of show you how this goes. And so again, once again, there's a list. And at the top of the list, you kind of think of that as the highest, and the ones as and near the bottom as the lowest. And so when you add, subtract, or multiply or divide two different types, it's going to convert. It's going to convert to the one that's higher in the list. So, for instance, if I add an int and a long together, right, the result is going to be a long. Or if I multiply a long and a float, the result is going to come out to be a float. Or if I add an int and a double, which is a fairly common one, the result is going to be a double. Okay? So that's how it works. And it's kind of nice. You don't have to worry about that, but you do need to be aware that that's going on so you don't get, odd results sometimes. There is a way to manually change from one type to another, just to let you know that that process is there. There's not a whole lot of times that we have to do something like that. Here is an example of a typecast. That's what that's called when you manually change the type. So here I have a variable of type int, and just say for whatever reason I want to change it to a byte, right? Then what I can do is declare a variable of type byte, and then have an int over here, the other, whatever the variable name is, and then inside parentheses, I'll put the type that I want to convert it to. So this will look at an int, and it will be 910, and then it will attempt to change that to a byte and store the result in this variable right here. Okay, so this example, though, you have to be very careful when you do stuff like this, and I'll show you why on this example right here, because the problem with this one is that the size of a byte variable is smaller than an int variable. And so that's what's called a downcast. And so you have to be careful. The problem is that byte can only represent numbers from negative 128 to positive 127, and 910 is not in that range. So in other words, you're kind of going from something that has a lot of room to something that has a little room. It might be the case that it might not be able to hold it, and so you have to be careful about that. And you can see if you run this example, then you're going to get a totally unexpected result. That first number is going to come out to be, that number a byte, when I print it out, is going to come out to be negative 114, not 910. So again, if you're going from a bigger type to a smaller type, you really need to watch out that that smaller type can hold the value that you're trying to stick in there. Okay. The rest of these examples in this program just show you how that works between integer and doubles. Here I'm doing some division. Here I have the int 9 divided by the double 3.0, and you can see it's supposed to come out to be 3, and it does. And in fact, Java goes ahead and changes that to a double. You can tell it's a double, right, because it has the 0.0 after it there. So again, that's kind of nice. Java kind of just does that for you, and you don't have to worry about it. So you can see all of these types very similar here. They're all int and doubles mixed, and because of the way it works in this table, when you divide an int and a double, it's going to convert to whichever one is higher up, and in that case, it would be double. And so that's it for type conversions.